Hi everyone, welcome back. Michael Sandler here, best-selling author and your host on Inspire Nation. Check out our website where you'll find podcasts, tips, videos, and more you won't find anywhere else at inspirenationshow.com. Today we have an amazing Renaissance woman with a very green thumb. Her name is Elizabeth Murray. She's an author, artist, photographer, gardener, and speaker. She is passionate about nature and creativity. She says it connects her to her soul. She's perhaps best known for her work helping to restore Monet's gardens and photographing them for 30 years. Her photographs have traveled with Monet's paintings to 8 museums and are published annually in calendars and the award-winning book Monet's Passion, Ideas, Inspiration, and Insight from the Painter's Gardens. Her passion for nature and appreciation for beauty has inspired her dedication to diverse projects around the world, from remote African villages, the Amazon rainforest, Japan, and various corporations. And her new book, Living Life in Full Bloom, 120 Daily Practices to Deepen Your Passion, Creativity, and Relationships. Elizabeth talks about 4 pathways into a life of meaning, action, and gratitude. Today I want to talk with Elizabeth about her journey to Monet's gardens and around the world, and what it means to live life in full bloom. I want to understand how we can all discover the passion and creativity inside each of us to align with what we love and live our greatest, happiest lives. Welcome to the show, Elizabeth. Are you ready to shine?
Absolutely, every day.
Woohoo!
Every day.
I love it. So I want to start kind of with this grand adventure of how you got going, or how in the world did you end up first in France and then at Monet's garden?
Well, it's following love. It's following passion. It's following beauty. And so I'm a gardener, I'm an artist, and as I had 9 people working for me in Carmel and Monterey, I needed to have some time to explore and to recharge and re-inspire myself. And when I went to Monet's garden, I got a lump in my throat, I fell in love, and I thought, I want to work here. I will volunteer. And they'd never had a woman before as a gardener. So it was some steps, it was some magic, it was some miracles, and
let me stop you for a quick second, because if I understand correctly, first off, you're making money in the States, you're doing well, and you dropped everything and said, I will volunteer. In other words, let me work for free.
Yeah. Money isn't everything. I'm not led by money. I love to get paid. I need money, as all of us, to pay your rent and do all the things we need to do. But that is not my first priority. My first priority is contribution, living the beauty way, growing myself so I can develop. I can also give to others.
And it sounds like you were saying, because I think this is important for people to draw out in their own lives, which is, this is a temporary stepping stone. I want to get my foot in the door. And so whatever it takes to get my foot in the door, to follow my heart, to follow my passion, I'm willing to do that.
Absolutely. But, we talk about sustainability now and everything. And so part of it, so we can't be totally off balance, which I have a little in the past, because volunteer work is so much fun. And you can always get a cool job if you volunteer. So there is that balance point of being able to earn money. I didn't when I worked in Giverny. I was there 9 months. But it's in our lifespan, we have to have some kind of way to keep ourselves afloat. So, and that can be in different kinds of ways. But I really believe in being in alignment with our values and our passions, and things will happen. Magic will happen.
So, what does that really mean, to be in alignment?
That you know your values, you know what you believe in, and that is your North Star. That you wouldn't do, as a gardener, I would not use or work for Monsanto or something like that. I will not spray chemicals on the earth because I love the earth, and if I'm making a beautiful sanctuary for somebody, I'm more likely to educate them about how we can really renew the soils and how it will be so much better for their children or the earth or whatever. And that's not just being like a hippie gardener, which I have been for whatever, 30, 40 years. It's really about being responsible, responding to the earth, your community, the people you're working for, your values. So that is one way.
How did you, and maybe it wasn't hard for you, for a lot of us it's very difficult to kind of pull away the cobwebs to try to figure out, who am I? What are my values?
Well, of course, that's the biggest question of life in philosophy and theology is, who am I? And that's a pathway we can discover each day. Mm-hmm. And we can do that in meditation. We can do that. Sometimes we have an idea of who we are, and then we're into a challenge and we go, oh, I didn't think I'd react like that. But to know our values, and sometimes it takes that experience that helps us know it. Sometimes we know it because we're raised a certain way, and we are embracing it, or we are against it. But we find our values, and I have a lot of environmental values. I have a lot of spiritual values. I have values around social justice. I also value beauty with a little b and a capital B. And I think that that's about spirit coming through us, and creativity and vision and inspiration. And that's one of my values that I value. Land, I value. And I think right now, as a society, as a world, we're revaluing our values. Instead of big development, maybe it's the land itself. Maybe it's keeping open space. It's thinking, I don't want to think 20 years in planning. I want to think minimum 100, really 1,000 years. And thinking forward, thinking of our values in a long term. Our health, like you've been experiencing. Our health is a big value.
I love that, and you're making me think of, is it the Iroquois? And I'm probably getting the tribe wrong, but 7 generations ahead.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
And then also our emotional guidance system, because I think if we can clear away some of those cobwebs, it becomes easier to say, how does this make me feel? And if sitting at your desk job for a second, you say, how does it make you feel if you know you're going to be working at this job for the next 20 years, and all of a sudden your heart goes ba-dum, 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 and your lungs start to tighten on you? That's guidance. It's powerful guidance saying, okay, not quite in alignment.
Yeah. And some of us are very distant from our body and our body knowledge. And I think deep time in nature, time in silence. And a lot of us, when we're in pain, physical, emotional, mental, we numb up, whether it's through too much time in electronics or drinking or all kinds of shopping, whatever people's addictions are that help us numb up. And how to step out of that and go through so we can do that healing work so that we can be connected to our emotions.
You have some beautiful ways in your book, shameless promotion here for your book, some beautiful ways to do that, like 120 different ways, but it seems like one of a core essence or core piece to get to is just kick yourself outside.
Or invite yourself outside.
Oh, even better.
And it is just so precious to find something. Look at the light. Look at a sparkle in the morning. Listen to a bird. Notice something new. And let it feel. Let you feel it. Watch the moon. Watch the moon phases. Every month on the full moon, I put my wallet and money out and my wishes, my manuscript, and let the full moon bless it. Keeps you aligned.
Love it.
And try it.
And you talk about in your book, I mean, a lot of gardeners know this, many more would like to learn this, is certain plants that you plant, the rooting ones, I think you said, you plant on the full moon. And
you plant on when the moon is going down. what is the wane of the moon. And the waxing, making it bigger, is when you plant crops going up. That's a very bare minimum, but there's lots of old farmers that can teach you more.
So in 1991, it sounds like you took another adventure in kind of connecting with the earth. And can you tell us what you did then?
Well, it was 85 that I lived in Monet's garden and helped restore it. And then 91, I went back to this village in Varangeville-sur-la-Mer next to the sea. And I did it to photograph, to do art, and to write. And I got so that I could hear the light calling me. And of course, no telephones or computers or televisions, nothing like that. And I was so in tuned that it would tell me where to photograph and where to be. And I could hear the spirit of land and place. And it was a time to grow my creativity. And I had amazing friends that are amazing artists and gardeners. And so it was, I think a lot of us need retreat. I lead retreats. It's important to be in silence. It's important to live simply and give yourself an opportunity to really grow, really nurture your own creativity. Find your inner voice. Find that guidance.
After my first near-death accident, I started to see light in a different way. And I started crying. I remember I watched a dewdrop at sunrise and saw all the colors of a rainbow, of a rainbow in one drop. And I was just bawling tears. And I put together this cheap little camera out of a video camera, because I didn't have the money at that point for a camera, and started photographing things. And we put together a beautiful book. We haven't even released it yet, called Silence Speaks. And it was pictures that I took being called to go out at sunrise and sunset and being told, well, go over here, you're going to get the best shot.
Good. Perfect. That's it. And it takes slowing down. And your experience, how dramatic that was, I don't know the whole story, but it is like the shattering of the mundane. It's the shattering of the routine of like, oh, another work day. Oh, I'm so bored. What am I going to do to kind of feed myself? Or no, it's a new awakening. And we can do that in deep meditation. We can do that in time in nature. I always have to have time in wildness, and where we see things afresh, and you get into that awe and wonder, like a drop, like you did. Bless your heart.
I love it. And I think for everyone out there, you can do it in meditation in so many other ways so that you don't literally need to shatter, which was my path.
Yeah, there's less dramatic ways.
There certainly are. Now, in your book, I think there's a beautiful image of you. I don't know if we call it a tree house or what. And it mentions
spirit nest.
Yes. Can you tell us about that?
Well, this friend of mine, Jason Fan, look him up. He's marvelous. He's from Big Sur. He's a drummer as well and an incredible photographer and artist. And he creates these spirit nests, and people can hire him to make it in their garden or public space. And he makes some different sizes and shapes, and that's one that he had in his place in Big Sur, and I climbed into it. But some of them you can sleep in, and I know he made one for a zoo in I think St. Louis, and a lot of children's gardens. Wonderful.
So in the picture, I think it mentions that you've been called a shaman, and I wonder what that means to you.
Well, I don't say that myself, but for me, it's to be a medicine woman means to take a warrior's stand, a courageous stand for the earth, to be able to see what is happening with people or with a tree or an animal. It's to be able to, sometimes it's read energy, sometimes it's to know our plants. From a glance, I can tell the vibration of what's happening with certain plants and animals and land. And that's part of it. And it's a healer. It's stepping into being the healer, teacher, visionary, and warrior.
Woohoo! I was in New York City a couple years ago, and I think I was seeing something beautiful there, and I pointed it out to somebody near me, and they said, I don't do nature.
Oh, so sad. So sad. You just want to embrace them and give them some lavender in their nose and put them up in a treehouse or something. Yeah. Yeah. We all do nature. What do you eat? What do you breathe? Where do you sleep? We are nature. We are animals. You know, we are part of it. And we can never forget that. And right now, our nature, our very nature is dependent, and the wild nature needs us, and we need the wild nature. You know, we need to change.
Kids, they get it. They know. Now, granted, we can give them a little electronic device, and you know, it's like crack for them. But they get it that we are nature.
Yeah, yeah. And to give children and adults deep experiences in the natural world, just something where they get to experience it, then you're shifted, you're changed, and then your heart opens up, and what I believe, you fall in love. And what we love, we protect. So I'm all about not making people too fearful and the do's and don'ts, but just fall in love, and then we commit. We love it.
Oh, how can I say anything but I love it?
Yeah. We have too much fear. You know, we're teaching too much fear in all the realms. Fear sells things. Love is embracing.
So tell us then about, you have in your book 4 pathways. All of them are, I think, love-based. There's nothing in there about be afraid of this. You like how I segued there?
Good. Well, I chose 4 pathways. The pathway of the gardener, which is the humble gateway of being intimate with nature, with the earth. It's in relationship. The second pathway is the pathway of the artist. And that's all about imagination and creativity, which we need more of. And then the pathway of the lover. What we love, we protect. And the 4th pathway is Spirit Weaver. And it's about bringing gratitude, celebrations, ceremonies, all kinds of ritual into daily life.
So can you take us through then each one and kind of blow that out? Because when you say the first section is about a gardener, and well, I want to say that was my favorite section. I guess each was my favorite section. But the gardener doesn't literally mean, although it can, that you have to be a gardener. Now, Jessica, we talked off air about Jessica and I both coming back from a mold toxicity in a home, and we're healing, and gardening has been her solace. That has been her medicine. But you're not talking about just gardening, are you?
No, it's as much metaphoric as it is literal. And I think it's about nurturing, it's about observation, it's about seeing the stars at night, it's about tasting, awakening our senses, so then we can really become sensual again. It's everything to do with the natural world and really about ourselves.
So connecting with the earth, connecting with the stars, connecting with the water in any and every way that means.
Yes, it doesn't, if you're living in an apartment or a little studio, it doesn't mean that you can't be a gardener because you don't have a garden. You can love and appreciate the trees and in the park, you know, near your house, or grow a little something and see the magic of a few seeds sprouting. I mean, it's unbelievable.
I had fun.
That's a focus.
There's so much great stuff in this book. You can get lost in every page. Each page is its own flower. It's its own work of art. One of the things that I found really cool is, and it was something I did as a kid, knock on wood.
Oh yeah, yeah.
I had no idea. Where did that come from?
Well, knock on wood, when we say, okay, knock on wood, I hope that comes true. It's about when we believed in the tree spirits. And we would knock on the tree to awaken the tree spirits to stand behind us. So now we just find a table or something. Just a few minutes ago, I was in Salinas to talk to the county supervisors about saving 50,000 oak trees, not cutting them down for a horrible development. And when I walked in, I said to my friends, look at these 2 pine trees in the front. These are incredible trees. They've been so loved. And they said, yeah, wow, they are pretty. And I said, let's say a prayer to them. Let's ask the tree spirits and them and the trees that we're trying to protect in Fort Ord. Let's ask them to stand behind us as we go into the county supervisors and talk to them. And they were like, okay, Liz, it's okay, I'm leading you in a little prayer. We did that and we walked in, and I felt like we have it behind us. And as you said earlier, the lungs of the earth, that's what the people in the rainforest that I know, the Ashwar, they talk about our lungs for the earth, our trees. Absolutely. So I still believe in our tree spirits.
I led a retreat in, was it Kripalu in Massachusetts a few years ago. And it was barefoot walking, barefoot running, connecting with the earth. And I had a lot of linear, right-brained people in there.
Good. You're in the right spot.
Doctors and other type. And we did this exercise on one day, and I really was unsure how this was going to go. We went into a forest. I had people walk silently, focusing on their breath. And then I had everybody stop and pick out their own tree.
Oh, good.
So hippie-ish, I had everybody hug their tree.
Good.
And I had them hug a tree for a few minutes, and then I said, when you're ready, stop. You know what happened?
They kept doing it.
Nobody stopped.
Aw.
Because there's such a magic. If we all get out to an old growth forest, for instance.
Oh, yeah.
And you just feel into it.
Yeah. You would like my friend's book, Joseph Cornell.
Mm-hmm.
He is an amazing sharing nature. For 35 years, he's been teaching 23 languages his books are in. But that's one of his experiences, is having someone blindfolded and going up to the tree and feeling it. And then they come back into the circle and they can find their tree. Or listening, putting on stethoscopes and listening like a doctor to the tree's sound,
wow.
The tree bringing up and down their water, and knowing it's a living being, and just to not take things for granted are beautiful trees. Yeah, good
I'm
for you.
Thinking, I've been out in Sequoia National Park or every place there's a sequoia I try to go, and one of the things that I like to do as a meditation is to find a tree that's hollowed out at the base and sit inside of it.
Yeah.
The amount of energy to draw up that water, tons and tons of water, hundreds of feet up, it is so powerful.
Yeah. Yeah. And the water goes down, it's moving. That's a wonderful thing. When we were in high school, we used to do that and play flutes in the redwood trees. And I grew up near Muir Woods and Mill Valley. Yeah, wonderful.
Beautiful. So then going from Gardner, from connecting to the earth, I think this is another very important piece, which is connecting, tell me what it means to be an artist.
To me, it doesn't mean that you have to be like a great painter or a wonderful musician, although that would be cool. What it means is a way of thinking. It's about using your imagination. And for me, one of the greatest foods for imagination is nature, and alone time, quiet time, where you get fed from higher realms. But to be connected to your imagination, to be willing to take risks, to be in curiosity, to play rather than work, to create and recreate. To me, this is divine, this is spiritual. And I teach even corporations creativity, which is so fun, because if I can help them be connected to their heart and connected to beauty and nature and their creativity, that's a good thing.
So you would take people in a corporation, you would give them creative exercises because they're wanting to figure out how to do A, B, and C better. And you're trying to this is cool.
Well, we can do A, B, and C better if we are more connected to ourselves. and to our imagination. And if we are listening to our intuition and we follow that idea and we share those ideas, we're not like holding on, that's my idea, I need the credit, or that's bad, or that's good. Just keep in the playful mode area of like you're bouncing balls with ideas, and then you develop them. So we do a lot with photography, drawing, painting, time in nature. And I believe in non-perfection. So one of the problems with ourselves a lot of times is that we have this addiction to perfection that paralyzes us.
Jessica and I we're in remission ourselves.
Oh, good. Well, it's for creativity, for being a gardener, for anything, even being in relationship. If we think everything has to be, I can't make a mistake, we don't take the risk. And so we need risk takers.
So that's what it means. You have a section called Start a Foolish Project.
No, it did. No, it did.
Works for him.
Well, think of any of our great inventors when, they started some kind of weird, foolish idea. Oh my God, my kid in the garage, he's playing with these electronics, whatever. That's Silicon Valley. Innovation, imagination, things that have never happened before. Yeah. Never happened before. And that spark. So I think that's very important.
And I think it also, I'm thinking back to my high school, Catholic high school, sent to the dean's office because the brother who was my art teacher said I couldn't possibly be that bad at art. I must be doing it just to tick him off.
Oh, that is too funny. Talk about judgment over judgment. Oh, you poor thing.
And can you imagine how much I want to draw these days?
Yeah.
And you're saying, put yourself out there. Take that risk. Pick up that crayon.
Well, it's about play. And it's about re-engaging that child. And in some cases, like yourself, it might have been a wounded child. And I've had people in my classes that actually cry or because they're so touched. And I've heard many sad stories like that about childhood teachers that were misguided. But any kind of creativity, and it could be the food we eat, it could be how we dress, it could be how we decorate our room or our house, or it could be how we tell a story, how we make pictures with our iPhone. And I love doing that, and I have all these apps I play with. But it's all kinds of creativity, and it will stimulate your brain, it will stimulate your speech, it will stimulate what you bring to yourself, and it'll make you happy. Happiness is important. Happiness is joy.
Well, you talk about that. You have a section of the book on happiness. You have a section of the healing power of humor.
Yeah, absolutely. Humor, humility, humus, being a human. And we all know that. And that's one of the old indigenous ways of the healing salve of humor. It's one of the healing salves, like singing is. So for you both that are healing with your mold problems, having a lot of laughter is really good. And we know that laughter and humor is a shapeshifter. We know good humor, I don't mean sarcastic humor, but good humor, where we are bringing people up. We are igniting and recognizing. And we can shapeshift a bad mood or help them see from a different point of view. And so humor, I think, is really important.
I've had, after my second, we'll call it a shattering, for the purposes of this after my second near-death experience, a shattering, two laughs came out of me that I was never heard before. So the laugh you hear on the show never existed, and a second laugh that only Jessica can get me to do came out as well. And so we would take time in healing and working on focusing on the laugh, or she would get me basically honking like a running elk, which it's like this boom, this chi that comes up from inside of you when you're focusing on the laugh.
That's so good.
It's so powerful.
Yeah, that's so good. That's so good.
So
you know it firsthand.
What does it mean? So we're going through these things, 4 pathways. What does it mean to be a lover?
Well, what I mean, because I actually, at this point in my life, my husband died and I don't even have a boyfriend. So at first I thought, oh, Liz, lover. Oh, no, it's to fall in love. It's to fall in love each day. It's to love that little child you just met. It's to love that old lady or old man. It's to love that tree. It's that little dog. It's that flower. It's that land. It's this food. It's to live with your heart wide open, not all armored and all closed and dried up like we see some people. It's to live with what I love, following the love, bringing it into our lives, recognizing it in others, telling people I love, and it's about being authentic. It's about being vulnerable. It's about seeing how we're all connected. That love isn't just for my family or my kids or whatever. It's a connector for all of us. It's a connector.
I'm hearing people listening to this right now, and a lot of us, we talked briefly earlier, fear versus love. And I think that a lot of people are kind of guarded. This is particularly, I'm outside of New York City right now, and people are terrified, I think is a good description, on the subway to even dare make eye contact with somebody else. So we're trained in these environments to protect ourselves with body armor and keep the heart closed at all cost. How do we chink away at our own armor then?
Well, it's an old thing, but it's a hard job of self-love. That's a hard one. And some of that is acceptance of ourselves. And sometimes it's just giving compliments, you know, like to a little child, you go, wow, you look so cute. I love that shirt you're wearing. And not something that the parent will think, oh God, that's a, child, whatever. But just that, oh, a little compliment. People, we all respond. And so it melts something. It connects something. And then to do it for yourself. Hey, that was a good job. I'm glad you showed up there. Hey, you know what? That was cool.
Patting yourself on the back.
Yeah, you betcha. We all have all this neck and shoulders and it's all uptight. We don't get enough pats on the back, It's a sweetness. It's bringing in the sweetness. And it's not about being naive. And yes, we need boundaries. And yes, we don't want... But the love is something that we're all calling for. And I think that when we have more connection with love and happiness and joy, we don't have to buy so much stuff. We don't have to be so much in fear and thinking, well, I'll be cooler if I have this or that. And that kind of thinking, I think, is connected to our earth being depleted, with having too many material stuff that we're all thinking we need. But when we have those heart connections to animate and inanimate objects like, nature and animals and one another, and see the beauty, it brings joy, it opens your heart and others, and I think it's a good thing.
I'm thinking, went out for a walk with a couple friends about a week ago in suburbia, and it's just after dark, and we saw a deer off in the distance, and it's watching us, and we felt such beauty, such joy. And then Jessica and I went back to this spot just on a normal walk, morning walk, because we try to be out at sunrise and sunset. It kind of sinks us. Went out a few days later and found somebody had put stones there. One stone on top of another, and smaller one and smaller one and smaller. Kind of like a little mindfulness stone thing.
Yeah.
And I have to believe that almost attracted that deer to be to that spot. It was just like there was love in that spot. Somebody imprinted love.
Energy. Yeah, intentionality. Intentionality and an offering.
I love it. So let's go right from there into a section of your book that I think is intentionality, I think is offering, which is, what does it mean to be a spirit weaver?
Well, to me, it's bringing in spirit into daily life, and that might be the blessing you say for your meal, your gratitude. It might be someone's birthday celebration. It might be a funeral or a wedding or a blessing to a child. It might be a really good toast at a party where you're acknowledging and you're creating joyfulness. It might be the altar, like I see behind you, a little altar that you make that's your focusing point, or it's your grounding point. I have, when you walk in my house, something I call a love altar, and it's all kinds of people that have died, or people that were born, or people I'm praying for, and it has all these little elements from around the world about love. And that's, you walk in the front door and that's what you see first off. So it might be ways that we look at the big picture, that we connect to our tribe, that we connect to our soul, we weave community. My dear friend I was just with, she got the kids in her neighborhood who live in apartments to help the next door neighbor garden and then paint the picket fence. And those kids are so proud. So that's spirit weaving, where you're reweaving the tattered parts of community with a sense of spirit and love and wholeness.
This just makes me think each thing that we're talking about is like making the light burn brighter. So you're burning brighter in yourself, you're helping others burn brighter around you, you're helping and it just goes up and up and up.
Yeah. I think sometimes that we are lighthouses, and that sometimes, our windows get dirty from all our various experiences. So one another, like your program and your relationship and the light that I see in your eyes, it's cleaning the windows for one another, so that we need it. Like, we need that light out there. We need, and us lighthouses, sometimes we have to help each other kindle our fires, with it. That's what my book is about. And actually, I'll have to tell you, I did a lot of prayer and saying, okay, God, or gods or nature, whoever's up there, help me, work with me. What is the best thing I can contribute?
Well, this book it's heavy. And I don't mean that it's heavy as in intellectual jibber jabber, which there's a time and a place for intellect for sure. But this has such, I'm looking at it right here, such, I don't know, je ne sais quoi, I don't know the word for it. You pick it up and it says, so I turned to your page and it says, purposeful happiness. And it's talking about the Dalai Lama teaching the purpose of life is happiness. Another page, make generosity a habit. And it's talking about how to do that. And so you can pick up the book and go to, and try photography. Remember to play. Pick up the book, and it's going to give you instruction on any page on how to be more of a lighthouse.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah. And it's, I had over 1,000 ideas, and I had to.
How long did this book take you?
Well, not counting my life, it took 4 years. And I wanted each page to be beautiful. I didn't want it just to be boring, because some art books, they're supposed to be inspiring you about creative lifestyle, but they're not even pretty. So every page there's a photograph, and there's oftentimes a drawing or one of my paintings or something, and not like they're perfect, but they're right out of my notebooks or something. So it's my medicine. We talked about being a medicine woman.
Yeah.
It's my listening. What can I offer? What do I believe in? It's following the values of what I think is important and listening. What are the trends? What are people hungry for? So this is my humble offering from my whole heart. And I would take a lot of discipline, sometimes to get up at 4 a.m. to really work hard, and all the time, even if I was doing a yoga class or whatever, I'd have to have a piece of paper, driving in my car, a piece of paper, writing notes. Oh, this is a bright idea. Oh, here's another idea. Ooh, ooh, ooh. And I'd have as I said, like 1,000 ideas on my walls, like, and choosing
Well, and
what's the best.
it's like a Michelangelo, David. You had to chisel away because each page stands on its own. Each page has a beautiful picture. It has a caption with it, and it's its own unique artwork to it. To each page is its artwork, which means that as a writer who's sometimes too prolific, and I'm sure you can be that way as well, you had to sculpt and carve and get
Thanks
down
for noticing. Sometimes it would be down to one word because each practice is one page, and I would just be like in tears going, I love my words.
It won't fit.
Whoa. But then I wanted the beauty part on it too, so you had to cut out some stuff. It was a big, and I had some tough editors. Some I didn't like very well because they were so tough.
I hate to say this, but it can be as a creative soul. We're all creative souls, but you know what I mean. It can take that person that that we are not.
Well, there's a difference between expansion and contraction, and I think many of us, certainly you and I, like expansion. And that other person has that other job, and it's like,
so,
yeah.
When
if we had a moment, I'd love to talk about the full bloomers too, or
please. That's exactly where I'm going next. I've got Lita, I've got Terry and David, Melanie and Duncan. There's so many beautiful people. Lynn and Bill, Lily, Leah. There's so many beautiful people in this book that it's my favorite section for a reason.
Good.
And that is all of these how-to pieces are fantastic, but what I want is how are people doing it? How are they living? Because it's so easy to fall into a life of compromise, safety, and security. And there's a place for everything, but these are people who are living it. So dive right in.
Well, thanks. I chose, these are all dear friends of mine. And again, I had this huge list. It was hard to come up with just 6. Many are couples. And to live those 4 pathways, and some are not gardeners, but they're working the rainforest, like Lynn and Bill Twist, who started the Pachamama Alliance. Or maybe somebody else is how they do living on purpose, living with meaning, living with contribution out of their joy and their creativity, and all of them talk about reweaving community in different ways out of what they love. Children, Betty Peck, 93 years old, teaching gardening and children and community and being an amazing resource. Melanie and Duncan Berry, loving fish, loving the sea, wanting sustainability, wanting to help people work. So starting the Fish People, this great company that's just incredible, all sustainable. How to work with David Baum. You remind me a little bit of David Baum, actually. I think you guys would get along. Anyway, David Baum and his wife Terry, and being artists and idea people that work all throughout the world and are hosts in their home and bring it to their community in New Hampshire. And each person I wrote about contributes and is living with their passions. Lita Judge is an incredible children's book author and illustrator. Beautiful website. People can look her up.
I love Lita. I was thinking about in particular because I think she was working a regular job, and she kept saying, I want to do children's illustration. I want to do it, until her husband's finally like, well, just do it.
Yeah, just do it. And she is so successful, and her contributions are so wonderful and deepening to children and connecting them to nature. And she's brought up her background that had a lot of closeness to nature. And she also went through a major health challenge and changed the way she was working. And I think the work also was a big part of her healing, to have that lightness, that brightness, that what was guiding her during some very challenging health times.
It seems like each of these people in their own way has flipped that switch that says we have no choice in a positive way but to follow our hearts.
Yeah. And another way of putting it is not even flipping the switch, just saying, that's my path. That's my path. My path is to follow my heart. And if I'm really in alignment, that I feel that that is going to be sustainable, that I can make good choices. And I mentor some women, and sometimes it's hard to do that. So sometimes we live in community. I live in community. In my house, I share it with a lot of other people, and we have our individual spaces and all that. But we can change our economics, like you're doing, like in living it more with others, sharing resources. Yeah. There's different ways. But yeah, and there's different ways of defining wealth and different ways of defining rich. What is it to be rich? To be rich is to live according to your heart and what you really love. That is wealth. I think.
I can't imagine truer words, because having the car, having I don't care what that item is, if you're not in alignment with your heart, then there's a part of you that's going eek, and it's kind of, it's turning into that lump of coal, and it's not burning bright. Whereas if we're going that other direction, that's wealth, that's gold, that's light shining.
Yeah. And I think there's that hunger, that hunger that is never satiated when we don't follow our heart, or when we're not connected, or spirit, or our authentic self. You have this hunger, and you're always uncomfortable, and so you numb up. You numb up in all these various ways, and then we're not vibrantly aware. We're not having a full life, and we're not contributing. And right now we're being called to do that. Each of us finding our way.
Let's dive right in, and just as a thing, if you have the nice car, that's okay too. It's just, but now.
Yeah, I think. Yeah. And we can be responsible. We can be generous.
Yeah. In the book, you have a section that I really like, and it's in your video too, which is really cool. Life mapping.
Oh yeah.
Because I think this is the nuts and bolts. This is where we figure out how to do it. Can you tell us about life mapping?
Well, this is something my friend Duncan Berry that I wrote about, and Joanna Macy's husband, Fran Macy, came up with on a 1-month Buddhist retreat. And a Buddhist idea is that to be in spiritual balance is really to be in alignment with your gifts and talents and with your values. And so your work, as your relationships, how you live, it's very important to have it aligned. So in this idea, it's to really know what are your passions. And some people go, I don't have any passions. Okay, well, what do you really love? What do you really love? Like what makes your heart just open up? Maybe it's your grandchildren for an older person. Maybe it's whatever it is, animals. And some of us have tons of things. And then to know what are our skills and talents and gifts, so that it's kind of like your bank account. Like, what are the riches? Like, obviously, you're really good at communication. You're obviously a really good communicator in writing and speaking and getting information and putting it together and being succinct. So you being on doing these programs is perfect for you. You're a good interviewer. So that is part of your passion, obviously. It's an alignment. And then another part, and I notice with that many women are very shy about saying their gifts and talents. They've been trained to not boast, and some cultures are trained not to boast. So I really have to pump people up and say, hey, you speak 3 languages, put it down. You're a sailor, put it down. Oh my goodness, you can organize an office. Not me, put it down. Like remembering what it is. You're a great mother, you're a great cook. Oh my goodness. So really to remember all those things. And then what do you feel the world needs? yes, we feel world peace. Yes, we feel food for all or whatever, but then get it down specific so that we can work on blending all our gifts and talents and our passions to our contribution. And then we create action plans. And then we also talk about how to keep in alignment, how to have a North Star. What is your North Star? And oftentimes I talk about sustainability for work, health, money, so you're not overextended.
That's a big one that Jessica and I talk about all the time, sustainability. And we've lived in an eco earthship off the grid home, but we realize it means a lot more than that. It's, are you building a life, sustainable life? Yeah. For your joy, for your having enough resources, for so you're not depleted. I've seen many very talented people, again, especially women, that will overextend in giving to others. And there are so many needs in the world that we can, there's lots of choices, but we can't do it all. So again, it's about collaborations. So how do we keep some balance? And sometimes it's a give and take. Sometimes I like to overdo it, but you got to pull back, and I can be the social butterfly and I'm the hermit. So it's like how to renew, how to replenish, and then we can give out again. So life mapping, to me, it was through life mapping, doing this process, that I came to write this book. And I've been teaching the life mapping process now to all kinds of ages and people. And maybe one day we can do it on your show. We can just take people through that. I think that'd be a lot of fun to get yes. I say yes.
Yeah, because I think it's something. I have some friends in Victoria, British Columbia, and I was going to try to fly up there next week. And because of timing and costs, I said, well, let's just try to do it with Skype, and I'll teach you. We'll lead you through.
So now segueing from there, and I like thinking of us as we're, in a way, models for our kids. We need to lead by example, which is something that we're having trouble doing these days, is we tend to lead our kids by I'm going to do it one way, I want you to do it another, and I'm going to give you the opportunity by doing it a different way, which is out of alignment. But I think in discovering this, we're figuring out a better way to be a model for our kids. Basically, where I'm going with this is what advice would you have for parents raising kids and being in alignment or empowering kids these days?
Well, actually, I would have, a lot of show of love and recognition of the spirit of that child. That all children aren't similar. They're all really individual. And some are quiet and some are more boisterous. But to be with them, to nurture that, is like raising. My mom used to say, we had 6 kids, and she'd say, you're each flowers in my garden, and you each need different things. And that's true. And lots of time in nature, lots of art time, lots of play, with real things, real crayons, real food that they cook, real work, like real sweeping or real helping. So it's not, it's messy when you help me or you're so slow. It's no, let's do it together. It's family.
That's empowering.
It's empowering. It's community. I think it's good values. Eating together.
Do you have there, by chance, you showed me off air just before we started, a picture from a child in the rainforest?
Yeah.
You, for those who are watching this on YouTube or check it out on the video on our website, this is amazing to me.
Yeah, this is a double-page spread from the children's book we made. Let's see if we can move it over. So these are 2 pictures they put together, and this is the Ashwar people in the Amazon rainforest of Ecuador, and this is how they live.
So if you can't see this, if you're listening to it, there's like a grass hut with like a golden floor, or a river going through this wooden canoe, and I'm guessing from what I've read, you just gave them the most basic supplies, and these kids, untrained in art, are drawing the most amazing, I don't know if grounded is the right word, but you can sense the connection they have to their natural environment in the art.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah, they wanted to write their language. I said, how can I help you? What would you like? And they said, well, we want to write a book in our own language.
Yeah.
And so it was the elders that actually got together and wrote the language. And I said, well, I can help you. I brought down 60 pounds of art supplies, and with 2 Ecuadorian young women who are naturalists and were working in the rainforest, I taught them art, and then we went down together and worked with the kids. And I, when you work with the indigenous people, they're a dream culture. So my dreams would tell me what to do. They say, oh, watercolor. Oh, they like detail. Bring colored pencils with that are watercolor pencils. Okay. And I brought some colors that the dreams would tell me. And I'm like, okay, bring that. Oh yeah, okay. And so the elders chose the myth because they always tell the myths to the children, and that's how they get their values after they tell their dreams. By their dreams, they plan their day. And so this culture, the Ashwara culture,
yes,
one of their big dreams was that they couldn't keep out development. They couldn't keep people out. Mm-hmm. So rather invite them in, people of heart, and have them learn about the forest and fall in love with the lungs of the earth. And then we will help change our ways of the pushing of destruction of the natural world.
Wow, it actually sounds the complete opposite of what you think. Instead of, this is again love versus fear, instead of fighting to hold out, it's a bringing in, a transforming, and then ascending that light back out, saying, oh, instead of you working to change us, we're going to help you with what knowledge we have.
Mm-hmm. And that is the new warrior. That's the spiritual warrior, the warrior of the heart, mm-hmm. the person who's willing to take the stand, be strong, be straight, but knows, they would rather die than have their forests cut. And it's not just for them, it's a worldview. Mm-hmm. It's a worldview. So that kind of courage means core heart, yeah. Courage being so connected to the heart that you look really brave. It's like taking that stand. And I think all of us have that opportunity, and it gives you such meaning and purpose. And as long as you're really aligned, and it can make positive change everywhere.
I'm hearing people listening to this, and I'm picturing the ones shifting right now who are about to take some giant step in their life because they're hearing these words.
Yeah.
And they're going, this is calling to me. Let's do it.
Yeah. Yeah, and take good care of yourself. Take good care of yourself and ask for help. Ask for help from your ancestors. Ask for help from the tree spirits, from your community, from the people you love. Say, I am taking this courageous stand. Will you stand with me? Will you help me? Will you support me? It's important. It's part of the reweaving.
Part of the weaving is asking. That's such a... It's courageous. It's courageous on several levels. First, you're stepping out there, but then you're also really putting yourself out there to ask for help.
Yeah, that's that vulnerability, so I can be authentic, so I can be truly, and usually I will add, usually we don't know exactly what we're doing. We usually don't have the perfect plan. We only, like the life map, it's about resources and a North Star, but it isn't exactly each step of the way.
Well, it's like that airplane that in the old days, it used to be that you would be off track 90-some-odd% of the time, homing in, like you're saying, homing in on that star.
Yeah. Or when you're tacking with a boat or something, or walking a labyrinth, you go away from the center and then you're actually going closer. So to really keep checking in, and that's why that spiritual kind of guidance, I think, is important, and that's why quiet is important.
So what would be 3 last takeaway pieces of advice then that you would give people?
have some silence, and play. Have joy.
Yay.
Create happiness. Yeah. Bring joy to your life. Bring joy to your life. Delight. Absolutely.
And then a question that we like to ask all of our guests just before the end, which is, what brings you the greatest happiness, or what I call the woohoo factor?
Well, I think connection to people when I can feel the spirit in them. Like I can feel it with you. So even though we're on this like little TV station or whatever it is, when I can connect to the spirit, divine, God, the creator, whatever you want to call it, through one another, through a little animal, through my trees, when I can, or even coming through me when I paint or write or whatever, it's that feeling that in one another. That's my greatest happiness.
I absolutely love it. Well, any last words of wisdom you give people?
Yeah. Take joy. Take joy. That's a renewable resource.
That's a
renewable resource.
I think we all can.
Yeah.
We should have a bumper sticker, and we should donate the proceeds to you, and then you could donate them to whichever group needs it most, which is Take Joy, a renewable resource.
We sure need lots of it. Yeah. Well, this is a pleasure. Thank you so much, both of you.
Well,
very sweet.
Thank you so much. Before I let you go, where can people go to find out more and to find your book?
Well, it's always best to support our local bookstores, so you can start there.
Beautiful.
But it is on Amazon.com. It is even online, like what is it, Skype, those Kindle books or whatever.
Yep.
But always, if you're lucky enough to have a independent bookstore, always order there first, because we got to keep our fellow people together. They are. More. And libraries, ask your library, but Amazon has it for sure.
And your website?
My website is my name. It's elizabethmurray.com. And every couple of weeks I put out a little something it's like a newsletter that I call Full Bloomer. I want you to go on it. And I have a photograph that I usually take with my iPhone and different apps, and then a little something of inspiration, a few sentences of inspiration. And it's just a work of love. It's seed planting.
Beautiful.
I put out. So that's free. People can sign up for that. Yeah.
Excellent. Well, thank you so much for being on the show. This has been truly a very heartfelt interview. I hope everybody out there can feel it. I'd recommend getting her book, Living Life in Full Bloom, because you could just keep it on your coffee table, keep it on your
bedside,
anywhere that you just pick it up once a day and just go for one page, any one page, and that can make such a huge difference. So for everyone out there, this is Michael Sandler saying, be well, have fun, live life in full bloom, and with joy, a renewable resource, and shine bright. Woohoo! Hi everyone, thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, be sure to like below. Also leave your comments, have some real fun with it. Subscribe to our channel where you're going to get more great videos, more interviews coming up. And check out our website, inspirenationshow.com. That's where you'll find tips, blogs, information, videos you won't find anywhere else, and useful and helpful resources to really help you kickstart your life and to shine bright. Thanks so much again. Thank you for your support. Like, comment, subscribe. See the website. Thanks so much and have fun. Of course, shine bright. Woohoo!